even as Caleb began to melt into his wolf form. Within a minute, a large black and gray wolf stood surrounded by a tangle of clothes where Caleb had been moments before. Andrew chanced a quick glance at Monty to see if he had any instructions. The bodyguard looked both thrilled and horrified. "Don't move," Monty advised. "No, really?" Andrew glared at the guard before switching his gaze back to the suddenly growling wolf at his feet. "It's okay, Caleb. It's just me." Even though he spoke in a soothing tone, the wolf didn't seem to calm at all. He paced back and forth in front of Andrew, short steps to the left and right. His claws clicked out a staccato rhythm against the tiled floor. "Slowly kneel down on the floor." Monty's voice triggered another growling fit from Caleb. He charged several steps toward the door with his hackles raised. "Are you crazy?" "Just do it, Andrew. He's trying to protect you." Andrew's knees trembled as he dropped to the floor. His scrub pants didn't provide much padding against the hard tile. He winced and tried to adjust his position, but Caleb snarled at him again. Andrew stopped moving. Caleb's head swiveled between Monty and Andrew, and he backed closer to where Andrew knelt. Andrew ended up with a face full of wolf butt. He reached out to stroke Caleb's fur and received another snarl in reply. He dropped his hand. "Is he protecting me from you?" Andrew whispered. "Probably so. He's not thinking clearly. He can't. All he knows is that you're hurt, and he sees me as a threat right now." Caleb turned to face Andrew and sniffed his bruised cheek. He licked it and stared into Andrew's eyes. Andrew met the animal's stare, and his instincts took over. "I think you should go on outside. I can handle this." Monty began to protest, drawing Caleb's attention again. He charged the door, and Monty jerked it open before Caleb reached him. "I'm listening," he said as he scurried outside. "If you yell, I'm coming in and stopping him. Got it?" "I got it." Monty shut the door, and Caleb growled at it for a moment. His large head turned back to Andrew. He tilted it slightly to the side, some unanswered question in the wolf's stance. Whatever he wanted to know, the animal in him didn't have the answer. Caleb stalked Andrew with a low growl and half-raised hackles as he recrossed the room. "I'm okay. You just calm down now. Come on, Caleb. Come back to me. You promised, remember?" Andrew kept his voice low and soothing, much like he talked to a scared patient. Caleb paused for a moment and then continued forward. He bumped against Andrew and pushed him over to the side. Andrew caught himself on one hand and glared. "Hey, stop that." Caleb bared his teeth and pushed again. The wolf was strong, stronger than Andrew realized. He tried to hold himself up, but after another growl, complied and let himself be pushed onto his back. "Gentle, Caleb." He kept his voice soft, even though the more vulnerable position had him more concerned than ever. If Caleb attacked, would Monty be able to get to him in time? Caleb sniffed his side, licked gently over the bruises, and sniffed his way up Andrew's body. He growled again, this time less angry and more annoyed? Frustrated? Could Caleb's emotions come through in his animal form? Andrew broke out in goosebumps and shivered as Caleb's cold nose ran over his body. "I'm fine, I promise. Come back. It's okay." Caleb raised his head and huffed. He sniffed down Andrew's body and buried his nose in Andrew's crotch. "Don't do that." Andrew couldn't help but laugh at the overly canine response. Caleb raised his head again. He sniffed his way back up, keeping his eyes locked on Andrew's until they had to break contact. Caleb nudged Andrew's head to the side and opened his jaws over Andrew's neck. Andrew couldn't stop the tremor of fear that ran through him, but he followed his instinct and arched his neck back farther. Caleb let out a low growl, this one seeming more pleased than angry, and his wet breath heated the skin of Andrew's neck. Andrew swallowed, and his Adam's apple bobbed against the teeth brushing his throat. His action seemed to alleviate whatever threat Caleb felt. He shivered and began to shift back, his mouth never leaving Andrew's neck. After a long moment, Caleb lay shivering on top of Andrew. He ran his hands over Caleb's side. "Welcome back." Caleb lifted his head, his eyes haunted. What happened?" "You shifted." Caleb scowled. "I realize that. Did I hurt you?" "Nope. You sniffed me a lot. Stuck your nose right in my crotch. Really, Caleb? The crotchiness? You haven't even taken me to dinner yet. Caleb laughed and buried his face in Andrew's neck again. I don't know what I've done if I'd have hurt you. You promised me you wouldn't. He shrugged under Caleb's weight. Glad you kept it. Caleb raised his head again and met Andrew's eyes. They locked gazes, and Caleb ran his hand over Andrew's bruised cheek. I was so mad. The thought of you being hurt. You know, as mad as I am about getting my ass kicked, I have to say, I'm glad it happened if this was the result. You needed to shift, Caleb. This has to be a good thing, right? Maybe you'll be better now. Always thinking of me first. Caleb lowered his head and pressed his lips to Andrew's. Andrew gasped. Caleb lifted his head for a moment, stared into Andrew's eyes, then lowered it again. His mouth opened against Andrew's, his tongue teasing for entrance. Andrew let him in and wrapped his arms around Caleb's back to pull him closer. Their bare chests pressed together, the heat of their skin burning. Caleb ran his hand through Andrew's hair. He gently twisted the blonde curls in his fist and tugged Andrew's head slightly to the side so he could deepen their kiss. Their tongues tangled together. Caleb's cock filled where their bodies met, and he began thrusting against Andrew's leg. Andrew ran his hand down Caleb's side to his hip. He squeezed and felt something hard under his hand, just as Caleb hissed in pain and drew away. What the hell was that? Andrew gently pushed Caleb to the side and slid from beneath him. Caleb started to roll onto his side, but Andrew stopped him. No, don't move. I need to see what that was. He sat up and ran his fingers over Caleb's hip again and found the spot. Shit, Caleb. There's something in there. What is it? It hurts like hell. I don't know. Stay still, okay? I'm going to get my first aid kit. Andrew jumped to his feet and ran to the bathroom. He knelt back by Caleb's side a moment later and flipped open the kit. Shit! Monty's outside. He should see this. Yeah, Caleb agreed. Monty, come inside. Caleb barely raised his voice, but Monty came rushing through the door in a second. Andrew blushed. The guard must have heard everything. He pushed his embarrassment aside and got out his tweezers. Shit, this won't work. Whatever it isn't through the skin. Monty squatted down beside Andrew. What? I felt something on his hip. There's something there, under the skin. Monty reached down and ran his hand over the spot Andrew indicated. But we've got to get that out. Got a knife? Andrew scrambled into the kitchen and found a paring knife. He brought it back and handed it over. Be still. I will, Caleb said and buried his head in his arms. Monty ran the knife over Caleb's skin and made a small incision. Andrew had the tweezers ready and handed them over. He could see something embedded under the skin. Monty tugged, and a small silver needle slid free. Caleb hissed, and Andrew pressed a piece of gauze over the spot. He stared at the bloody needle in horror. Is that? Silver, Monty said. He should be dead. Caleb raised his head, his face pale and sweaty. Call my dad. He needs to know that someone knows what we are. Monty handed the bloody tweezers and needle to Andrew before he pulled out his phone and dialed. The conversation was brief and to the point. Even Andrew could hear Alphonse's outraged yells into the phone. He's on his way back, Monty said when he ended the call. So I heard. We need to get back to the house. Shit, Andrew said. I have to tell you something. He taped the bandage in place and helped Caleb sit up. He pointed to his face. This is because some guys wanted me to get information on you and your dad. About your house. I said no at first, and... Andrew paused and let his bruised jaw speak for itself. Fuck. Monty pulled out his phone again. Your dad is going to be pissed. To say the least, Andrew. Tell me exactly what they said. Andrew sighed. I'm sorry, Caleb. I told them I'd do it. They said they'd kill my brother if I didn't get them information on your house, specifically where you and your dad's bedrooms are. Caleb ran his fingers over Andrew's jaw. You did the right thing. You had to agree or they would have hurt you worse. Where's your brother now? I don't know. They took him when they left. He owes them a bunch of money. More money? More than he stole? Monty's expression darkened. He stole from you? Andrew looked away, his cheeks burning. Look, my brother is an idiot. He always thinks he can win. He took money from me, but I cut him off. Not that I have anything else for him to take anyway. Now he's in too deep or something, I don't know. I didn't exactly ask for a copy of his bill, you know. But I know they wouldn't hesitate to hurt him. Caleb took the phone from Monty's hand and dialed. Pop, yeah. It gets worse. They tried to blackmail Andrew, beat the crap out of him and took his brother. He paused for a moment. Yeah, they want details on the house, where we sleep. They definitely know. He listened for another moment before handing the phone back to Monty. Andrew, you need to go pack some clothes for a few days. I want you to stay with us. Andrew shook his head. I can't. They'd kill him. They'll only give me 48 hours to get the information. No, they won't. Not yet. He's their ace in the hole. If they have him, and can prove it, they know that you'll do what they want. But listen, you've got to trust us, okay? We'll do whatever we can to get Danny back. But if you give in to them, it won't end well for any of us. He's right. Monty added. What did you tell them? Nothing. I told them I hadn't seen the bedrooms. I was supposed to snoop around and find them. Okay, go on and pack. We need to get out of here. Caleb struggled to his feet and picked up his clothes. Andrew hustled to his bedroom and leaned against the closet door. He took a moment to breathe. The emotions he'd been holding in check began to catch up with him. He had no idea what he was getting himself into. Should he go with Caleb, or push to stay here? His thoughts scattered when Caleb appeared in the bedroom doorway. Sorry, I was taking a minute to... It's okay. Sorry for being such an ass, but I'm really worried, and I'd like to get out of here to where I'm not so concerned about our safety. I understand. Andrew turned and opened the closet door. A large black duffel bag sat on the top shelf, and Andrew pulled it down. Caleb's arm came around him from behind and held him in place. I don't think you do. If something happened to you because of me, I'm not sure what I'd do. Caleb rested his forehead against the back of Andrew's head. Andrew raised his hand and covered Caleb's where they pressed against his stomach. I'm scared. I don't want you to be hurt, or Danny, or Monty, or, hell, me. We'll be careful. Come on, let's get you packed. Andrew tossed clothes into the bag without paying attention to what he was doing. Caleb helped, and within a few minutes, Andrew was ready to go. He grabbed a few things from the bathroom, cleaned up the first aid kit, and tucked it into the side pocket of the bag. Have everything? Caleb asked. I think so. No. Andrew picked up his work bag from where it rested near the door and hoisted it onto his shoulder. Better to have his work in some preemptive hope for normalcy than to be stuck somewhere with nothing to do but stare at four walls. Or Caleb. Okay, this is it. Monty led the way outside. Andrew had never seen the guard so alert. They went down the stairs quickly, with Caleb holding onto Andrew's arm. Monty opened the back door of a large black car with tinted windows. Caleb guided Andrew into the back seat and climbed in behind him. Monty got into the driver's seat and they squealed out of the parking lot. Andrew glanced over his shoulder and prayed he'd done the right thing for all of them.